The main goal behind this whole project is to fundraise £3,100 for Men Walk Talk, who are doing great things for men's mental health. We've got the GoFundMe link in the description down below. Please click on the link, consider donating and support us in our cause. On Monday, which feels a long time ago now to be fair, we did our first ever in-person event to a sold-out bookshop in Borough. Yeah, it was really nice. We had a great mix of people coming along. We had a wonderful evening with everyone who attended, so thank you very much if you did come along. A special thank you to Morocco Bound and Beth and the team and our panellists Henry, Sean and Andy. It was amazing to have you there. So we actually did a group activity on Monday, as we thought if we've got 40 people in a room, we may as well do one all together. This one was positive affirmations. I asked everyone to write down 5 things they may be kind of worried about or something that they'd like to achieve over 2024, and then after 10 minutes we all stood up, shouted them all out together to put them into the world, and it was a really nice exercise.
It was super high energy charged thing, having everyone do it at the same time, and I think was just the epitome of the whole event really. It was just everyone coming ready to be a bit vulnerable, speak about well-being, and it was just a bit emotional really, having us shout our affirmations out to all the faces in front of us and have everyone firing theirs back, and it's so positive and lovely.
I actually have revisited mine. I think mine were quite linked to the event on Monday, but then I had a similar kind of week at work as well, where I was having to do a lot of presentations and stuff like that, and lots of mine were linked to like, I am a good public speaker and I can do it and I'm not going to be worried and stuff. It's been quite nice for me to just quickly write them down before I go and do another talk, because I can sort of psych myself up using them. It's not like I'm waking up and kind of chanting it to myself as I get out of bed. Just in those 30 seconds to a minute before I go on or stop sharing or whatever, I have been thinking about them, and it has been beginning to sort of trick myself into thinking otherwise. So it's been quite a nice experience for me.
Day 2 was clearing our to-do list, anything that you've been putting off for months, weeks, days, years. So I think we thought it would be a good exercise to clear the decks, let yourself focus on the things that really matter without always feeling like you've got something hanging over you that you've been putting off, and it makes you feel unproductive and it distracts you from what you do want to be thinking and doing. Get them out of the way in one day, move on to bigger and better things.
Mine's all kind of came from one another, so you kind of open a drawer and then you realise there's loads of stuff hanging over you. The main one, which I've been putting off for ages, was just putting a rail card on my Oyster. Took genuinely about 30 seconds. No idea why I've been putting it off. Then my desk became a bit of a war zone, just full of wrappers and kind of random bits of paper and just empty boxes, and all this rubbish was in there. You kind of open it and go, oh no, not today, and shut it. I'm going to just go through the whole thing, get rid of what I don't need. That then knocked on to me finding something which I'd been putting off for no reason, which is one of those DNA test things where it finds out your heritage. So I got that out and actually completed it. Like we've said in episode 1, we're trying to find a balance between traditional ones, which are kind of more exciting for us to do and more exciting to watch, but also using the days as an opportunity to do the things that are not traditional but still give you that hidden kind of well-being boost of maybe removing stress.
I had to pay my taxes or else I'll get in a lot of trouble. Book a dentist appointment to get a filling, buy a light bulb, and I do a little deep clean of the flat. The light bulb and the flat cleaning were things that, I think I would get around to, but it was nice to tack on to the others that I've been putting off for a while. What I liked about this process was I'm someone who catastrophizes a lot. The longer I leave something, the higher the mountain is and the harder it looks to climb, and the more I think about what could go wrong and the more I stress out about it. So I tend to just push it deep down into my psyche, and that just generally gives me anxiety where I don't even know where it's coming from. But as soon as I checked off all these things, I managed to do it within an hour. Had a little strategy: go to the shop, buy a light bulb, do some hoovering, come back, put laundry on, call the dentist whilst everything's going on. It was so simple, so easy, and I felt so much lighter afterwards. The way I'd factor this into my normal routine would be perhaps to have just a notepad where I just write a little to-do list Something simple. Spend one day a week, just go through whatever I've come up with and get them all out in one go within an hour. And it's just a good way of not juggling things, taking time and just getting through them all.
Well, my main item on my to-do list was giving my room a deep clean. So I took pretty much everything out of my room. It took me a couple of hours, and it was just really satisfying to know that it was clean as it could be in every nook and cranny. And that's something I think I don't usually give myself time to do because it doesn't seem the most important task. But quite quickly, I think you use more mental energy thinking about needing to do things than you would have used actually doing it. And I think this activity was more a shift in mindset and a realization that clearing your to-do list is actually not as big a deal as it might seem in your head.
We focused a lot on doing things for ourselves, but for this one we wanted to look at giving back to people in our lives, or even people we don't really know. Yeah, just the act of kindness, act of giving back. People take a lot of enjoyment when they do volunteering or by, I don't know, donating things to charity and stuff like that, and they gain a lot of happiness through that. So we chose on giving a random gift, and it could be to anyone. It just had to be for no reason, so it couldn't be like a birthday or a late Christmas present. It just had to be completely random, kind of selfless act.
I decided to get my friend Mike, who I went travelling with over the summer, a photo album, because I know he took loads and loads of pictures and he was out there and he'd mentioned that he wanted to go through them at some point, maybe print some off. So I got him a nice little photo book. Didn't actually get the time to give it to him because I didn't see him this week. Did send him a text. He was very happy with the gift and it felt nice. It felt nice to do that.
Good gift is something that someone wants but hasn't asked for. So you have to really know the person, do the thinking about what they might like. I guess it makes you just less in your own self, which I think is sometimes a bad place to be for your well-being.
So I went down a slightly different track. I decided to make cookies for my flatmate and his girlfriend, but then also for our neighbours downstairs. And it was really nice. It was a fun exercise just to go through the motions after work, use my recipe that I used about 10 years ago when I used to make them. Went really well, really enjoyable. And yeah, it was really sweet just to give it to them all as a surprise, and they were all very pleased, thankfully, with the quality of the cookies. Otherwise, I don't think I could have lived it down. A sound bath is kind of a form of meditation where it's taking up one of your whole senses basically the whole time. And so the sound bathing aspect comes from, I believe they're crystals, and you run something around the edge of them and then it creates this sort of resonating sound, and there's 7 different pitches, and then there are sort of accompanying sounds kind of completely engulf your hearing. You can sort of feel it running through your body. We were split up for this one. We decided to look at 2 different angles to make this one slightly more interesting. Lewis and I stayed together, but Marcus, could you tell us about the one that you went to and how that all came about as well?
I actually went to a sauna sound bath. I actually met Sean at my meditation retreat and heard about the amazing things he was doing with sound and creating spaces, multi-sensory. So this was in Hackney Community Sauna with my friend Sean. Absolutely would recommend everyone check it out. Basically brings together the audio sense, which you mentioned, with just a full body sweat vest. Love it. / sauna. It was actually really good because the hot and cold thing is something probably people have done. I've been in saunas and it's kind of a bit of a, after you've gone for a swim, it's a bit fun to go in for 5 minutes, but I find it quite boring. This gave it a real form and it kind of ritualized it, and it meant that I was really in the experience in a way that I'm not usually in a sauna. You had the sound bath, which in itself, I think, lets your mind calm itself because it's like having white noise when you sleep. It takes over any thoughts that are flying around your head.
Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4.
On Thursday, we went to the Bonnington Cafe in Vauxhall, where David Spofforth, he runs a soundbath session every week. It was just us 2, and he was giving us his full attention. We were laying on the floor in quite a chilly room, but At first, I was a bit worried about that, but as soon as he started making all these really surreal noises, a constant wave of different sounds, and you could feel it on your body, you could feel a wholeness all over you, from your toes to your top of your head. I could feel every little vibration.
Yeah, so I just want to say a quick thank you to David and Bonnington Cafe for having us. So I'd say my expectations before were quite high, but I was also just completely unsure of what was going to happen. We all went in pretty much blind, I'd say. So yeah, upon arrival, similar to you, it was quite an odd kind of area, and it was freezing and all the lights were off. But as soon as we met David, it was lovely, and he was really accommodating and made us feel very welcome. I think for the first couple of minutes when it began, so I think all of ours lasted about 45 minutes to an hour, is that about right? So for the first 2 minutes, I think I had the classic reaction of, oh, I have no idea what's going on, and because I don't understand what's going on, I'm going to try and sort of laugh it off. But after I settled into it, and like you said, he really eased us in, it was really immersive, and it was really surprising at how good it was. And I feel like the whole 45 minutes just disappeared. I've not seen the footage yet, but you've explained to me what it's like, and it's really interesting to hear that he was swirling everything around us. It was so immersive that you just had no idea of anything else external, and it felt like the sound was travelling around your head. It did become a bit of a total body experience, and so when it finished, I didn't quite realise, but I'd been so still that it was almost like my body had been asleep. And that's why I think it's kind of a step up from your classic meditation, but because I didn't have to concentrate on the meditation, I was able to let it wash over me. It became a lot more immersive than the meditation we did last week.
We decided to go play a random sport. We decided on badminton. We went to a little sports centre in Hackney, it was very cheap, and it was a great evening, great Friday evening activity that didn't involve any drinking, which I loved, to be honest. I felt so much better the next day, and I think as a sport, badminton is a perfect one for just messing about with your friends. It's not the hardest game, no one took it seriously, but we all got into it, and we all got a bit competitive towards the end.
It's something that we've been building in throughout the month, is sort of usual Friday routine. It's kind of you finish work and there's this mass relief, and then it's sort of the countdown clock begins for going out or going to the pub or whatever. And so for Fridays throughout this month, we've designed it so we're doing something social, but it doesn't necessarily involve the usual drinking / pub. And so last week we did yoga on the Friday, and this week we had badminton, and it was really nice because we were joined by one of my friends from university who'd actually messaged me from episode 1 saying he'd like to get involved, and if there was anything coming up, so we invited him along so it could be 2v2. There's lots of research that's come out, I think, in the past 18 months to 2 years, which has been around people who play racket sports live longer, and the social aspect of racket sports is kind of the most important thing. And I think we found that going in. I mean, none of us had played badminton really, and quickly sort of picked it back up. It is quite an easy one to just go along, and for 5 minutes you mess around, and then you're immediately back into it. But it was a really fun one, I think. It was one of the ones throughout the week that I actually took the most enjoyment out of. It was a bit competitive. There was lots of kind of joking and messing around. It was very cheap, and I had a lovely time. And I'm really enjoying what I call the fallow Fridays, where you sort of let the grass regrow from the week before.
My week was super busy. It's been probably the most memorable month of January that I've had, but it has been quite a lot. It's always been the case that up until the activity, I'm a bit stressed, but as soon as we started, we were just giggling all the time. I was really enjoying just loosening off. To be honest, I spent a fair bit of it quite annoyed because I kept losing, and I really hated it. And I almost lost every game. Luckily won the last game, but I just kept losing, and I just absolutely hate losing. So the fact that I wasn't really good at it was really difficult for me. So I think in this low stakes environment where none of us had really played before, it's a good way to combat some of those patterns of behaviour and thought. But with that said, I still just, I've always said that's one of the things that I need to watch the most, is being able to let myself not be good at things.
There's something that came out of the event from Monday from one of our panel speakers, so Henry. His closing remark was, find something that you're bad at and just give it a go, as kind of something that he would suggest for all of us in the room to do throughout the month. And so it's quite nice that you've just brought that up, saying that you went in maybe without the skill in it, but by the end of it, we were all way better than we were at the start. I mean, the opening game was a shocker, and then by the end of it, it was kind of high stakes environment, but we were all loving it. So fun to try something new with friends that's not serious and isn't particularly hard for us. These group sports, which you don't take too seriously, is emerging as one of the best things that we've done so far as a whole.
All right, 31 days to Wellbeing team. I hope you have been enjoying your journey so far. Now I'm going to invite you to take an hour to process it. That is going to mean journaling. Give it your best shot. It seemed like a glaring absence from the 31 days. It's the thing that I get the most relief from when I am in a moment of overthinking, because you get to look at things in the cold light of day, writing them out. Do this process because it helps you to think about what you've been learning along the way, and any other events in your life that you might want to take a bit more time to ponder.
I've done it on and off. I used to have the one that became famous. It's like the 5 minutes a day one, where you just sort of write out 3 things you're going to achieve and 3 affirmations and something, I don't know. And I have in periods of my life got into journaling, but it's one that I do for 3 days and then I'm busy one evening, I completely forget to do it, and then that's it, gone from my routine. But similarly, I would say that for me it is like used as a sort of release tool. It was a nice exercise to kind of evaluate how far we've come already. I mean, this is 2 weeks today since we started, so we're almost halfway through. I think tomorrow is the halfway point for us, and we've done so much in that time. It's actually crazy. We've done 14 new things. We've done a live event that was kind of organised last minute, but was amazing. And so I took the time to just look back on everything that we've done and enjoy it for what it's been, and look forward with excitement for the rest of the month, and then the things that are going to come after that.
Like you both said, I found it was a great way to reflect on the last 2 weeks and how amazing they've been, and how we've done so many different things, and it's easy to forget exactly what you did. So it's just a re-jogging your memory. I would continue. I hope to.
And building on that as well, I'm going to use this as the opportunity to challenge you both to try and continue this one on for the next week. I think with the surprises, it's quite nice.
Because I think it is one that the more you get into it, the more you'll get out of it, and the more you're able to just dive straight into writing automatically, and realising that it doesn't have to be the next Shakespeare is just such a good way to be grateful for things on one hand, maybe in just your day or something that's occurred to you about your life in general and how you're feeling, and also on the flip side, worries for the future, regrets, negative emotions. It's a good way to work them through in a sort of therapy session with yourself.
Our activity at the end of the week was to go do a cold swim outside in 3.9 degree water. It was one of the ones I've been dreading all week. I have not been excited about it at all. I felt sick in my stomach. Last night I was struggling to sleep just thinking about it.
So Lewis, how are you feeling?
I am quivering in my boots, but it's worth a try.
I loved it. It was, bear in mind, absolutely freezing, and the way it's all set up at Highgate Men's Bathing Pond is it's all outdoors, so the changing rooms are outdoors. You walk on concrete to get along the jetty, and then you've got the horrible metal ladder going down, and I chose a different route in. You both flew in, and I tried to do the sort of breathe into it method, which we were recommended by some of the guys outside. Yeah, during it, obviously, it's not the nicest feeling or experience, but I think after the initial shock of the first minute, and I was just kind of focusing on my breathing and trying to enjoy it, and as I began to sort of swim around and do a couple of laps, I really enjoyed it. It was made even more fun by watching you two.
So cold!
Because there was kind of mixed levels of panic and sort of battling through going on, which was really entertaining. But so yeah, overall, absolutely loved it. This one had a real sense of community about it, and everyone there was lovely. Everyone was ready to give advice. Everyone sort of talked through their different experiences and how this thing might work for you, and this, you should do it this way and stuff like that. And it really eased us in.
I just couldn't really face it. And I think I was right to be trepidatious in the end, because it was by far the most discomfort I've been in for the whole 2 weeks. As soon as I jumped in, it was just pain, like I'd been struck by lightning. It threw every nerve ending, and I just sort of doggy paddled my way back to the jetty. I had a similar post-swim buzz of energy and happiness, and loved being silly together. Like, it really pushed us out of our normal ways of interacting, I think, and gives you license to just be a little bit, I feel, I guess, a bit like you've just survived falling through the ice.
Yeah.
I just don't know whether I could do something that extreme on the regular. So I liked the challenge, but I was shivering for hours afterwards.
Yeah.
Like, it was a lot.
I felt exhilarated. I felt almost euphoric afterwards. Just went out onto the diving board, dived in, and felt freezing cold. Swam for about a minute at most.
About 10 seconds.
I made my goal, which was I wanted to dive in, swim to the rope, and then swim back to the ladder, which I thankfully did. I felt great afterwards. I felt really awake, because I'd felt quite tired after this whole long week of different things. This was a nice boost to morale, got us ready, I think.
The feeling afterwards, because that's where the supposed sort of glow comes in. And I think, again, we did pick a day for it because it was absolutely freezing out of the water as well. But once we had gotten over the initial shock and kind of dried off and got dressed, we were all in the best mood for the rest of the afternoon. We went and got lunch together and had a coffee, and we were just chatting for about an hour and a half, and no one was making any sense, but it was when we were all having those big laughs about absolutely nothing. And it was possibly the biggest mood jump of all 14 activities so far. Thank you very much for watching. We've been 31 Days to Wellbeing. Good night.